Hi, it's Dwyer. It's October 19th, 2022. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. BettingAngle.us, a free site. Let's talk the Western Conference of the NBA. I believe there's a clear play here. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let's not outthink this. Let's not get confused. There are two groups in the Western Conference. There are the defending champion Golden State Warriors, and there's everyone else. Right? Understand, some teams that were promising don't have as much promise today. Utah has disarmed. You can't go by last year's stats. That's a rebuild. Minnesota is bold. They're trying a two big man, Rudy Gobert, Cat, Karl Anthony Towns setup, but they're unproven. That's going to take a while to mesh. In my opinion, that has little chance of succeeding against a seasoned, well-oiled machine with the continuity that the Warriors have. With Phoenix, we understand that there's been ownership turmoil, right? The owner first gets sanctioned by the National Basketball Association for racist comments, right? Now the owner is selling the team. I'm just telling you, I know it doesn't make sense. You think to yourself, well, how could this turmoil off the court affect what happens on the court? The players are professional. The fans want a ring. It shouldn't matter. Well, I've watched the sport long enough, folks, to know that it does matter. Let's remember, when you had problems with the Clippers, they were loaded. That team had a lot of talent. The Clippers still have no rings. Right? I think the off-the-court ownership problems are going to bleed onto the court in Phoenix. Let's talk about another secret. Right? Some leadership is great. It ages well. Right? I look at Steph Curry and I'm amazed. He's the man at Golden State. He's been the man. The young guys follow him. Right? It's very impressive. Chris Paul doesn't age well. I know it sounds ridiculous, but Chris Paul is the kind of leader who, over time, you start to zone out. Now, Chris Paul is the man in Phoenix. I get the feeling that since Phoenix hasn't yet won a ring, some young guys are going to start to lose interest. The team's going to need new blood. I don't think the chemistry fully works in Phoenix. Denver's interesting, right? Denver has Joker, multiple MVP. They have a lot of talent. The problem is that talent hasn't been on the court together for some time, right? A lot of injuries, a lot of guys coming back from injury. Folks, when a team is becoming reacquainted with each other, that team can't beat the elephant in the room, the Goliath in the room, the Golden State Warriors, right? I like Memphis. Memphis is actually one of the biggest threats to the Warriors. I thought the Warriors were in real trouble against Memphis in the playoffs, right? It's also impressive that without their superstar, without Ja Morant, Memphis can hold court, right? Memphis is pretty much as successful without Ja Morant as they are with him. The problem is Memphis is too young, right? Memphis might be a stylistic matchup problem for the Warriors, but they're not for most of the Western Conference. So let's talk about what makes the Warriors great. Right? And folks, it's deep. I know a lot of people are looking at numbers from last year, understand Golden State has something that accents the numbers, might even trump the numbers. Golden State has culture. Understand, this team has won 4 rings. This team has been in the hunt other years, right? This is the kind of deep team that could lose Klay Thompson to injury, right? That could lose for a protracted period of time. Steph Curry to injury. Curry is dealing with a chronic ankle problem. This is a team that can have Draymond Green just haul off and clock young star Jordan Poole. Right? Green, of course, older player. Poole was 22 last year, might be 23 now. You would have thought that that incident might have split the team along generational lines. Instead, Poole doesn't go public. This isn't that kind of team. The young guys value the culture. Poole doesn't go public. He's not running to the next reporter. He's not issuing statements saying it's Green or me. He's not challenging Warrior ownership. No, he's signing a $140 million contract to commit with the team. Understand, Draymond Green, he knows where home is. He's not threatening to leave in any kind of serious way. I know some statements were made, but you knew Green was going to be back. You understood that. Right? And so just understand, this team has so much working for it that it's underreported. Andrew Wiggins, free agent, like could have been. Wiggins decides, no, I'm going to accept tens of millions of dollars less to resign with the team. Brilliant move, by the way, right? First off, I'm sure the contract is more of a floor than a ceiling. You know how these contracts work. They announce them, then you find out the player has an option to leave, right? Then you find out the player could shorten the contract, right? But just understand, Wiggins in his late 20s now is on a showcase team where great things could happen. So let's talk about certain players. Draymond Green. People criticize him. They talk about his low point total. They never talk about his plus minus. Right, folks? Draymond Green has a great plus minus. Understand, Draymond Green, they never talk about his assists. Here's one of the league's best defensive players. And Draymond Green averaged last year. We're not talking way back. We're talking about last year. 7 assists a game. His game syncs perfectly with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Let's talk about Klay Thompson. Now, I'm a Giant fan. Let me just say this. Saquon Barkley had leg problems. I wasn't expecting Saquon Barkley to get his burst back. Folks, his burst is back. Right? It takes a while for knee problems and other problems with the leg to fully heal. The league better pray that Klay Thompson's leg hasn't fully healed. I mean, understand, healthy. Klay Thompson is one of the best defenders at his position in the entire league. Forget the jumper. Forget the range. Forget the fact that this guy can carry a team, as he did in a must-win game in the playoffs back when Kevin Durant was on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right? I'm just telling you, folks, we're at that stage now where Klay's leg might be more healed. You better pray he's not back to being Klay. Let's talk about Wiggins. You know, Wiggins is the Warriors' arguably best defender. Right? I understand. This is a team with Draymond Green. By the way, that's how deep defense runs on this team. right? You heard me talk about Clay just a moment ago. Draymond, of course, is a former Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm here telling you that somebody else is their best defender. What I want folks to do is to look at the odds for who wins MVP. Just look them up. You're going to see Jason Tatum of Boston is one of the top picks. He's getting some of the shortest odds. In the biggest series of last year, the NBA Finals, Andrew Wiggins shut down Jason Tatum. Look at the numbers. Shut him down. Understand, too, Wiggins is underrated. This is the guy who's underrated in every facet. From 3, let me ask a loaded question. Who hit a higher percentage of their threes last year? Steph Curry or Andrew Wiggins? Look up the numbers, you might be shocked. Wiggins hit 39% of his threes last year. Let's talk about Jordan Poole. Would it shock you, and I'm telling you this team's much better than advertised, would it shock you to learn that even though Steph Curry, who's a measuring stick, hit more than 90% of his free throws last year, that he didn't lead the team in that category? Because the guy who led the league from the free throw line, led the league, was 22-year-old Jordan Poole, who hit 92.5% of his free throws. At 22, Jordan Poole on this loaded team averaged 18.5 points per game. Now, if you saw yesterday's game against the Lakers, it should have opened your eyes on a few things. Jordan Poole is really a shooter. Folks, he's also an excellent passer. You heard me talk about how Jordan Poole averaged more than 18 points a game at 22. Kuminga was 19 last year on Golden State. He averaged 9.3 points per game. Understand, too, Golden State used to have a motto, strength in numbers. Now, I know Golden State doesn't have Joel Embiid in the paint. Folks, they have James Wiseman, second pick in the draft. Right? They also have Kevin Looney. You add those two together, and on this team that's loaded already, certainly loaded from the three-point line, how many guys on one team can hit more than 35% of their threes? Well, understand, Wiseman and Looney are above average as a tandem in the paint. Right, so this team is loaded. They quietly have, because most of the people outside the Bay Area haven't heard these names. They privately have one of the league's best owners. I would argue the best owner in the National Basketball Association, in Joe Lacob. And they have arguably the league's best GM, Bob Myers. Right? Someone made the mistake of passing the mic to Bob Myers after the Warriors won the NBA championship. Myers was down on the court with all the other executives. And true to form, Myers was asked some question and he deflected. He didn't want to take any credit. Understand, folks, the team is loaded, whether you look at the old players or more particularly the younger guys. Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody, Poole. Folks, that's a wealth. That's a reservoir most of the teams in this league don't have. Right? Let me also, Myers, of course, started thanking the players' families. I'm not making this up. right? The guy didn't want to take credit. He started thanking the players' families. That sums up the Warriors in a nutshell, right? This group has culture. They're winning. They have continuity. Everyone's doing an A-plus job. Players are giving up millions of dollars to stay with the team. A guy gets dropped, gets hit in the jaw and dropped. He re-ups for more, for money, right? For several years. There's no talk on the team about Draymond leaving the team. Right? That's the Warriors. And of course, let me add the coup de grace. I haven't even mentioned one of the generational players of our time, Steph Curry. Right? One of the all-time greats. And I haven't mentioned a head coach who's going to end up in the Hall of Fame, Steve Kerr. Right, folks? The Warriors are just blessed. Steve Kerr is like Greg Popovich. Right? He's been presiding over this bonanza. You can imagine when they go into the locker room, people have a certain gravitas. Steve Kerr has the credibility that comes with 4 rings. And of course, the veterans, even the vet who messes up occasionally, which Draymond Green has. Understand, the Warriors are up 3-1 on the Lakers in the NBA Finals when Draymond gets himself suspended. Then, of course, the Lakers come back and win that finals. That's one of the finals the Warriors lost. That's not even one of the 4 rings this group has. Right? So forgive me. I'm sitting around hearing about the Clippers. Talk about a team that hasn't played together for years. Right? Kawhi Leonard's just coming back now, folks. It's a mistake to discount culture and continuity. It's just a mistake. Folks, when you add in depth, especially these kind of spectacular young players, then you understand this team is pulling the punch during the regular season. This team wasn't even a 1 seed in the playoffs last year. Right? This team, they were down 2-1 to Boston with Game 4 in Boston. The team came back. That series did not make it to a Game 7. Right? So this is one of those stealth dynasties. Right? This isn't the Showtime Lakers. This isn't Bird McHale Parrish. This isn't Shaq and Kobe. These aren't the bad boys. This isn't the team that just shines so brightly on the mountain that you understand, okay, they're the Bulls, and then there's everything else. Right? This isn't that team. Right? This is a team that's had some ups and downs. Right? Klay Thompson was out. Look how long he was out. The Warriors had a bad season there. Warriors didn't make the playoffs recently. This is the team whose culture gives it a resiliency. And now, with that culture, with that new arena, with young guys, even guys getting popped in the mouth, saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to leave some money on the table because I want to be with this team. When you have that, when you have the talent and you have the culture and you have the continuity, folks, good luck beating this team. Now, I'll concede where they're vulnerable. You heard me mention Curry's ankle problem, right? Some of their key members are older. Curry, Draymond, Klay, they're in their 30s. Right? Okay. They've had some injuries in the past. They could have injuries in the future. Right? Even Weissman, the young guy, had a major injury. right? Folks, the league better pray for injuries. Because whatever the seed on the Golden State Warriors, this is the team, not the Clippers, right? You saw them handle the Lakers last night, right? Think about it. The team gets their rings. The guys are distracted. We've seen many teams on the night where the banner's raised, they get their rings, get distracted. This team goes out. That game was over. The Warriors started clearing off their bench. You saw guys who hardly play in against the Lakers. Lakers have no shot. Sorry, Zion Williamson. I'm supposed to believe he's going to play what? 60 games? They have no shot. Really, the West has no shot unless this team starts to get injured. Right? Let's remember, Denver was on the cusp when the injuries started hitting. Right? That could happen to anybody. If everyone is healthy, this Warrior team is going to sail into the playoffs. Not only that, the vets are going to be rested. Right? The team has hit a certain point where, a Steph Curry, a Klay Thompson, there have been games. Klay Thompson once scored, I believe it was 60 points in 3 quarters. And they sat him down for most of the 4th quarter. And there were no complaints. Right? I'm just telling you, this is a tough team. This is the gold standard. I hope the Warriors play it like they did last year, where they decide, hey, we're not going to win 65 games in the regular season. We're just going to skate in here with, a 3 seed. And then we'll handle business in the playoffs. By the way, look up the number of consecutive playoff series where the Warriors have won at least 1 game on the road. Folks, it's staggering. This team can turn it on. So if they're healthy, the West is a fait accompli. Right? Warriors would be the team to beat in the West. Right? I'll agree stylistically. The Memphis Grizzlies give them problems. Right? Young guys throwing elbows, being hyper physical, prepared to guard 3-point shooters out at the 3-point line. Okay. Just understand that's rare. Right? That's rare. And while Memphis could give the Warriors trouble in a head-to-head, Memphis doesn't have the staying power against the rest of the league that this team does. With the East, it's a little murkier. We'll talk about that in a video at another time. Just understand, in the West, it's October. I believe you need to have a futures position now on the Golden State Warriors. Right? We're all excited about the NBA. Lord knows, teams with new dynamics like the Timberwolves are very excited. The Clippers, they got Kawhi Leonard back. He's been in the NBA Finals. They're excited. Okay, fine. I get it. Right? Use this excitement to lock in a good futures number on the Golden State Warriors. We'll think about a hedge later if we have to, if Warrior players start getting hurt, or if the playoff seedings become apparent. And you have so much money on the Warriors that you want to hedge the play deep in the playoffs. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. If you have a different take, if you have different ideas, if you think I'm overlooking a team, if you think Zion Williamson deserved the big money and is going to be an Iron Man, if you think Anthony Davis, who played last night, by the way, Lakers still lost, but if you think Anthony Davis is going to be an Iron Man, and if you think LeBron still defends like he used to, tell us about it in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.